Hello everybody, welcome back to another Demingoes RC review. Today we are going to be reviewing my Traxxas Hoss 4x4 VXL. I've had this truck for a month now, and so far I have nothing to complain about. It costs $430, which is a little pricey, but I believe it's worth every cent because it's arguably, and as you've seen from the thumbnail, one of the best, if not the best, of Traxxas's 3S trucks because of what's inside. And let me take the body off so I can show you some of the specs. And first of all, I probably should have shown this on video, but the body has Traxxas's Clipless body mounting system, which is becoming standard on pretty much all their models. Previously, it was only on models like the X-Max and the Russell 4x4, and then they added it to the Hoss. And now, in the new BL2S line, adds it to the Traxxas Slash platform. But as you can also see underneath here, the Hoss has a roll cage which supports the body and keeps it more rigid, helps it from getting absolutely destroyed on rough landings. And let me tell you, this truck has had some pretty rough landings. It has cracked in a few spots, like there and there. Overall, I believe this helps it quite a lot. Also, I've done the drywall tape shoe glue method for reinforcing the body, which mostly works, but I didn't do it enough in some places which allowed for it to crack. The reason I say that this truck is probably Traxxas' best 3S vehicle is mainly because of this right here, the Velineon 540 XL motor. It is the same motor that comes in the Traxxas Max. It's a high torque motor, 2400 kV, so less kV than the motors that come in most of Traxxas' 3S line. However, because this one is a 4S capable motor, it runs a lot cooler, so you have less risk of the magnets demagnetizing from heat. And then another good thing about this truck is it comes with this fan here, the ESC fan stock, which is the only one out of Traxxas' 3S line which comes with this fan stock. However, this, which is essential for this vehicle, because even though it is a 4S capable motor, it does still get really hot. This is not stock, but you can get the heatsink and the fan kit for $35, and it is like I said, it is an essential upgrade for this thing. Another essential upgrade is this servo here. Well, not specifically the servo, but the servo needs to be upgraded because it comes with a Traxxas 2075, which is fine for vehicles like the Slash 4x4 VXL, which have smaller tires and less power, so it doesn't have to be as strong. But with the Hoss's wheels, with the stock 2075, the wheels they do not hold to a turn in grass. They wobble way too much, which, because of the servo saver, they still do that a little bit with this one, but because this is a metal geared and higher torque servo, they don't do it as much. It comes with the Velineon VXL 3S ESC from Traxxas, which is programmable to 3 modes. The regular sports mode, which is what it comes equipped with, racing mode, which disables reverse, and training mode, which cuts this power to half. It can run on 2S, but I wouldn't advise getting this vehicle if you want it to be on 2S, because Traxxas has recently announced a new Stampede 4x4, which is pretty much the exact same truck as the Hoss, even down to the body. It just doesn't have the wheelie bar. It has a composite drive shaft instead of the aluminum one, and it's got a 2S brushless power system, which it's $100 cheaper. And if you're gonna run the truck on 2S, it actually gets higher speeds than this would on 2S. I think on most speed runs I've seen, the Hoss gets about 25 miles per hour on 2S, and the new Stampede 4x4 BL2S will get 30. It'll on a 3S Livo with the stock gearing, which is a 13-tooth pinion and a 50-tooth spur gear. It'll go 40 miles per hour out of the box. It can go 60 miles per hour, but the electronics are going to get very hot. But moving on to the rest of the truck, these tires are the Traxxas Sledgehammer tires. These are 5.3 inches. Inside here, is the Traxxas TQI receiver with TSM, which is also another must-have for this vehicle, as it has a lot of power and is hard to control without the TSM. One thing that you're gonna want to upgrade are these shocks. The Ultra shocks aren't good. Just they're not. They're fine for something like an XL5 model, which doesn't have sufficient power to jump very high, and they're also much lighter than this, which weighs quite a bit actually, about twice as much as an XL5. For a vehicle like this, it would have been much better if Traxxas put their big bore shocks or GTR shocks, or even just redesigned the plastic shocks to make them better for this vehicle, like adding a bigger bore and stuff. This truck comes with a lot of upgrades over the standard VXL models. For example, these drive shafts are the extreme heavy-duty drive shafts from Traxxas, which are significantly stronger. With these drive shafts, I haven't had a problem yet. These drive shafts have held up just fine so far. There's no sign of damage from any of them. So another upgrade this comes with is a center differential, which all the other 3S VXL models, they all come with slipper clutches, which is fine, but there's problems with the slipper clutch on the 3S vehicles. So having that differential in there is a really good thing. I can't show it here because of this and everything, but I will show a picture of it that I get online. Other than this and this, the Hoss is completely stock. These upgrades that I'm going to mention here are not urgent enough that I need to get them now. I'm going to wait until next spring, but definitely GTR shocks. The Ultra shocks do their part. I mentioned earlier how they're not the greatest. So the GTR shocks definitely. And also, I'm going to get the Extreme Heavy Duty Upgrade Kit, which just makes this thing basically indestructible. Like, gives it the same sort of durability as the Traxxas Max, which is widely considered to be one of Traxxas' best vehicles. Durability-wise, this thing is a tank. I have technically only broken 2 parts, but I've damaged 4. This shock here, and the shock shaft bent. I don't know how it happened, because I took it out one day and it bent. No idea how. Because I didn't even have any nasty landings or anything that caused that. They're thin shock shafts. So this bearing carrier right there, it bent or warped or something. I don't know exactly what happened, because visibly it looks almost perfect, but the wheel wobbled a lot with it, so I replaced that. And then this steering block and caster block up here, they just basically, the parts around the screws cracked, and the screw fell at the bottom, and the screw came out up here because that part of the caster block cracked. So very minor breakage, very easy repairs. Without further ado, let's go to driving. Dude. Okay, so there's a dirt area over there that we're gonna drive it out in a bit. But first, there's this ditch here that's really fun. That's a good place to do some jumps. Might be stuck. Oh, no, it's okay.
Flip.
There's not enough of it has a lot of control in the air. You just have to learn how to use it. It doesn't jump very well backwards. No, it is.
Stuff stuck in there.
Stuff stuck. So the problem is there's a lot of grass stuck in the wheel. Or I could just go back to my car and grab a wheel wrench. So we thought the problem with the driving wheel was because of that, but it was actually because of this. I was talking about earlier how I haven't had trouble with the drive shafts yet, and well, drive shaft is busted.
Just as soon as you get back into action, what happens?
I break it.
Yep.
You just summed up the entire RC hobby.
Yeah.
Once you get it back into action, you break it again. So to determine what went wrong with the Hoss, with the drive shaft, we have to look back in the footage. And if you look about here, when the Hoss comes out of the bush, you can see kind of that the drive shaft is perfectly fine in that shot there. But another thing you can see here is that the rear wheels are filled with a lot of grass, and that was causing issues for them spinning. So what happened is when I tried to jump it here, the center differential poured most of the torque onto the front wheels, and when I accelerated rapidly right here for the jump, I believe this is around the point where that drive shaft broke because there's too much torque, way more torque than it was ever meant to handle going to it. So it wasn't the Hoss's fault that this happened. It was just an accident that occurred because I hadn't been used to I hadn't experienced something like this happening before. But if you look here, you can see that the drive shaft is in fact broken, and it hadn't been before the jump. So that's the point where it broke, and that's the reason why it broke. It wasn't the fault of the Hoss. It was, if anything, my fault as the driver. Now, if you take the phone, it is now a rear-wheel drive Hoss because the front diff is just diffing it all. It's just giving all the power to the broken drive shaft. It's just rear-wheel drive Hoss. It's just cursed.
Yeah.
Out of the job. Not at all. There's some proof that four-wheel drive RC cars are better than rear-wheel drive. And then just front-wheel drive is absolutely horrendous. But, overall, if you think about getting this truck, absolutely go for it. This thing is a blast. It's worth every penny I paid for it.
Yep.
Of course, it didn't pay. I just wrote a check, but once you factor in the price of the truck and the heat sink and fan for the motor and the battery and stuff, yeah, I think I paid like $590, but it's worth it. Drive the rear-wheel drive Hoss back to the car. It sounds bad. Listen to this. Oh, you know what it is?
Huh.
It's probably the center differential diffing out to the front wheels. I don't know if you can hear this, but it sounds weird. I should probably stop driving it before it breaks something else.
Yeah.
Because people have had, if you get that front differential, the differential gear spinning too much, the casing can break, or it can melt, and I don't want to melt that because then there'd be 500,000 weight liquid all over in here. I'd have to get a new one, which is like the aluminum one is like $20. So yeah, not good, but it sucks that I broke it on video.
Yep.
If you're on tender hooks or whatever that saying is about whether to get this or not, I'd say absolutely you should. This is I'd say probably the best 3S truck that Traxxas sells.
Right, maybe also even the best 3S.
Yeah, the best of any 3S truck.
Yeah.
It might be. Honestly, I think just 3S monster trucks in general are probably the best 3S vehicle
Truck
you can get.
scenario.
Yeah. But until next time, hope you enjoyed the video and goodbye.